Hey everybody, welcome back. This episode, we're going to be replacing some door cards. So we got the old one here. It's got a whole lot of crap on it and everything. And on the back side, it's pretty beat up. And I got these nice little forever panels. And we're going to put some suede on this and see how this goes. So stay tuned. All right, let's talk tools. Okay, first thing you're going to need, obviously screwdriver and everything to take the door panels off. You're gonna need some adhesive high strength glue, and it needs to make sure that it is heat resistant, because all that sitting in the sun is gonna ruin the glue. I've got the Super 77 over here that doesn't do it, but this high strength 90 might, and this Gorilla Glue is what I use for the first panel. That one's pretty good too. Other things you might need. You can get a whole bag of these from Amazon. They fit into all the little spots that the panel had before. And then you're just going to need a nice area to put this up. So when you get the panels come with all these little spots here have plastic in them. And it's just like these are right here. This whole panel comes with all the spots that all the versions of the panels came with, so you can knock out the spots you want. In particular, I have manual windows, so I had to knock out this spot, and I have speakers, so I cut out for the bigger speaker hole and punched those out. And I haven't decided yet what I'm doing for the armrests and the hand grab. So that's where those would go when I decide to do that. I think what I've decided is I'm just going to do the hand grab. I'm going to do like some sort of like pull strap. So I'm going to do a pull strap in here, and so I haven't decided which one of these I'm going to use, but I'll figure that out pretty soon. Either way, all you need in order to do that is it even comes in the instructions. It says you need to support the underside of it. So, and in fact, I think I'm probably going to choose this one, because this allows me, if I decide I want to go back to a hand grab, which is this thing, that goes basically right there. Now, is that I haven't decided I want to keep with the pull strap instead of the hand grab. So, while I think the hand grab one is probably supposed to be right here, I'm going to choose this spot. So all you have to do for this is do something to support the underside here, and then take something hard like this and just stab it the hell out. So you can use a socket or anything else. So I'm just going to right there. That took way longer than I expected, but either way, so it popped it right out. And you can see on this side, it didn't do too much damage on the way out. So either way, the pull strap and the cloth and everything's going to cover that. So it's not really that big of a deal. But that's all you have to do. And I just used some tape to do that. So now we've got our strap ready to go, and that's all the holes we need on here. So the next thing up is to take more or less our foam backing, which I just went down to an upholstery shop down here for a person who makes chairs and whatnot, and asked for some headliner fabric, and this is more or less what they gave me. So it's some open cell, closed cell, I'm not really entirely sure, but it has this backing on it, and this backing on it is actually rather important. Because the glue just does not stick to the foam itself very well. And so if you use this side against your fabric, it's going to mean your fabric's going to stick to this really, really well. And if you wanted to sew it, it would provide something you can sew into as well. So other people like to do this other ways, but what I like to do is I'm just going to come in here, take this, and I'm going to use a X-Acto knife here. I have a whole pack of very sharp X-Acto knives, which I suggest you get as well. Some of these box cutters or X-Acto knives or whatever, and basically just give a very rough, very, very rough cut. I don't like to go all that tight with the first until I glue it onto the panel, because quite frankly, that means I have to put the panel like perfectly in place, and the glue only lets me get one shot to do this. And so I'd rather rough cut it, glue it, and then trim it to fit once the glue's set and it's in the direction or place it's going to be at. So either way, very nice rough cut here. So at this point, we are ready to glue. So it comes with this side, which is got a little texture to it. It's really nice. And all we're going to do is put it on the ground and glue it up. All right, now that we're done drying that piece, we've got this whole thing nice and solidified on there, so I can play with it without worry of detaching it or messing with anything. So I'm going to kind of rough out where things are going to be attached now. Now this is where the little clips go, so I want to be careful of those little areas, and around the corners as well. This fabric doesn't really stretch very well, so I'm going to have to do some trimming around there. So I want to give myself some good space here, so that the glue, whenever I do glue the back of it, fits. So I'm going to come around the corners in some of these and give myself a good amount of room here. I can always trim more later, but I don't want to get in a situation where I've trimmed too much and I don't have enough left to actually grab onto the backboard and hold it in place. So one thing to keep in mind with this when you're coming around the corners here, is that because this doesn't fold, it doesn't work like that. So what we're going to do here is when we come to these corners, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of room here. Now I'm going to cut, this is foam, so I can do this. I'm going to cut the foam all the way up to the edge. Generally, you want to give it cut it a little bit away from the edge so that when you curl it around the corner, your cut actually appears on the back. So the cut would never appear on the front of the panel because you would never cut. You would give enough room so that it would fold over on itself before the cut actually appeared. That way you can have a nice uniform front, and your little notch that you made in order to make the turn doesn't show up. And you can see here I'm making this notch right now. So that's a pretty big notch, but it's going to make a turn here. So when I roll this over on itself, you can see it actually comes together, and so that actually helps it come together. And if I follow that along the whole way, you'd see it actually start to bunch up. So instead of floating over on itself, which would probably work for regular fabrics, the foam doesn't like that. So for the foam, I'm going to keep doing these kind of these little V-cuts here. And the little V-cuts with the foam in particular gives me so that I don't have to overlap the foam. Now see, it's still overlapped a little bit there, so I want to fix that a little bit more. So I'm going to cut a little bit more. I don't really want the foam to overlap itself because it's just not very good at overlapping itself. It just makes it bulkier. I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to do something like that. So now that they do that. So with that in mind, I'm going to start the whole thing. Now one thing I should note here is, so the top area here is where your armrest bolster goes, basically right there. And on the stock door card, which I believe this is the one, you'll notice that the foam and everything doesn't actually extend to that spot, mostly because it makes it really bulky and really hard to attach and really hard to mount. So I'm going to try and mirror that and only put the foam right there and then leave those spots open. So I may actually pull the foam back a bit, but we'll see. I should say that I messed this up on the first door card I made, and I bulked it up, and it was hard to attach the bolster. So let me not do that this time. So now here comes the fun part. I need to poke out the holes for the individual pieces that are going to be not going to have foam at all. So my last card I did this before putting the fabric on. I don't actually know if that's an improvement. So, well, actually, yes, I think it was. It was definitely an improvement. So we'll go with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and replicate this kind of behavior pattern in the middle here, and what it's going to kind of look like is a star. So I'm going to come to this one, and again, I'm going to try and not cut all the way to the edge because I want it to wrap around before the cut appears. There's going to be a little stretching going on there, but that's better than the cut appearing in an area it's not, I don't want it to. So I'm going to start with using my little blade here to make this little center cut, and then I'm just going to kind of work around the sides as well. And so now I've got this kind of this cut, and then I'm going to do the same for this one as well. I'll start and make basically a line down the side or through the middle. And then just very slowly turn it into a pizza. And hopefully try not to screw it up. So it's going to need to be a lot more than that. So you see how it doesn't like to stretch like that? I mean, I guess it could, but it's really, really fighting the fabric. So I'm going to make a lot more than just the standard one. So something like that works out a lot better. You may need to move it, do a little bit more of a cut to make it so that it doesn't stretch too much. Because if it stretches too much, it actually compresses the foam, and what you end up with is a ring that doesn't really have any foam around the edge. Try to prevent that. But either way, I'll finish up these little holes, and we'll go to gluing. Now that that's all done and I've got my areas trimmed and I've got everything pushed out that I will, it's time to start with gluing. So again, I'm going to take my high strength heat resistant and I'm going to turn it down to the low setting so that I don't have problems, and I'm going to use some gloves and a ventilated area because this shit stinks. All right, so let's, you're going to want to start in a small area and not do much at a time until you get the hang of it, because it can be a bit very sticky. At least the Gorilla Glue stuff was. So let's go. You're going to want to cover the area on the plastic and the foam itself. And you're going to want to try and keep as much of it off the plastic as you can, but just get it in the area. So we're going to start with that, and it says to just let it dry until it tacks. What I found is that the plastic, this can take a minute, but it goes, the more you go along, if there's any extra glue on there, the tackier it becomes. So this time around, it's not that big of a deal because it's just the foam. But once we get to the actual suede, it's gonna be a lot harder to do this with glue already on there because I'm overspraying, of course. So here we go. I'm just gonna take one like that and give it a nice good press. And there we are. And if it starts to lift up when this is still lifting up, that just means it's not tacky enough yet. So I'm probably gonna let that sit a little bit more because that's not sticky enough. It's coming right up. And you'll go through like 2 of these cans, by the way. I went through a whole can of this just for 1 door card. Maybe I'm using too much of it. Who knows? Either way, seems to work. So put that there. That one's starting to go here. All right, there we go. I think we're at tackiness level here, so I'll spin that over. There we go. Okay, and just keep going around. And again, you want to try to avoid them overlapping each other, because if they overlap, it's just going to double it up and it's going to make it bulky, and then it's not going to snap right. It's going to be a pain in the ass. So just go a little bit at a time and use your scissors if you need to. And just like that, we have our completed initial card. Now, I didn't end up pushing these little spots through, because what I found is that it actually looks a little bit better when it's done, at least with the first one, where this kind of, the hardware just kind of comes straight through. So, I mean, you try that. It didn't seem to do a lot for me last time. Actually, I'll try it this time and see how it goes. We'll see. I added some glue this time, so let's see. I didn't like it sitting there, so well, see how it goes. But otherwise, there's just not enough material to do that. It just kind of, so maybe I wouldn't glue that. But either way, there you go. So now we just got to let everything dry before we move on to the next step. Cool. Well, now we have this completed, so this is nice and dry. Still a little tacky to the touch, but that's how it's going to be. We can start on the suede, and this is just something picked off of Amazon. And we're going to do the same thing as before, which is a nice rough cut. So just get a rough idea kind of how it's going to lay. And again, want to leave some extra so that I can pull it off the side and everything, and I don't have any nice sewing scissors, so I'm just going to use my X-Acto. And again, it doesn't matter too much because I've already used all my suede that I need to use, so I really don't care if I screw this up. So I'm just going to cut all this off. Attempt to not cut myself at the same time. And this suede was actually pretty good. It's not real suede, it's like polyester fake. Got it off of Amazon. It was like $20 or $25 for enough for 2 panels. I mean, there's plenty left over here too. I could even probably do a 3rd panel. So sweet, it's not too bad. Just needs ironing. So now that we've got that all figured out, now we got our basic layout. We're gonna iron. So, and once we iron, we're gonna do the same thing as before, which is I'm going to glue it onto the pad. Now, one thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to show this part. One thing I'm going to do this time is I'm only going to apply glue to this part of the pad, to the pad itself. I'm not going to apply glue to the fabric itself. And the main reason for that is I don't want to accidentally put too much and have it come through on the other side of the fabric. So it's okay if it's a little bit loose. It didn't end up loose on the last panel, so Yeah, I'm only going to spray the glue on this panel, on the foam, and then drop the fabric on it. So let me go do that. The front has dried enough. We're going to do the exact same thing we did last time, which was to wrap the edge around like that and stick it down. Now again, be careful of your little spots here that you need the clips to go in, because if you put this fabric down, it'll pull it and it'll cause some problems. So be careful on that. In fact, you might want to take this opportunity to put the clips in now, because they're a bit of a pain in the ass to put in. So in this situation, we're going to try put these in and see what happens. I noticed on the previous panel I did, the fabric right around where I put the clips in pulled down, which was really weird to me because you're adding material. So you may have to go through with some very small flathead screwdriver and like lift off the area right there so that you can fit this thing in without disrupting the felt. And it goes in way, or the felt, the foam, and it goes in way easier when you do that. So that would be my suggestion. And maybe you don't want to put these in now because you want to really avoid putting glue on them. I didn't put them in the first time around. I don't know what I'm going to do this time around. Maybe I'll try taking them out. Okay. We're going to do with the glue thing again and see where it ends up. Now, one thing again I should note here is that when I am cutting these corners like this, I'm being sure to not cut anywhere near the edge of the fabric, because one of the great things about this fabric is that it stretches really well, and you can't really tell it's been stretched. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut about 1 centimeter or so away from the fabric. We almost want the cut to occur like way up here, way away from the edge of the fabric. So I'm going to do that and then utilize the stretching to help cover up some of the spots, so it just looks completely flat from that side. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so with this one, this is a little different than the foam because the tighter you pull, the more the fabric is going to stretch, and also the more the foam is going to compress. So when you're spraying it, you got to make sure you get down in this corner here so it still stays in there. And then you want to just pull it over just enough so that it's tight and starts to pull the foam a little bit, but you don't want to compress the foam entirely. If you compress the foam entirely, you're going to make a line and you'll notice it later. So we're just going to fold it over. And then also we're not too concerned about the V's because this fabric will fold over on itself. And we don't really care about that in the back. So either way, we just start sticking it down. And there you have it. We have the inside of the panel glued, and you can see that the part, the part you don't even see from the front. So if you're in the front here, you don't even see the cuts whatsoever, except for a little part that I screwed up right there. But I'm gonna go straighten it out right now. There we go, look at that. We'll just go ahead and run our finger along here and make sure this appears as expected, and the same along here. Let's get it so that it sticks in all those little folds. All right, just like that, we got our door card. Now we just have to wait for it to dry, punch out those little holes, put the clips in, we're good to go. So, off to drying. All right, now that that's dried, we got our nice little panel here, looking good. So we're gonna then do the last bit, which is the arm bolster, rest, whatever you want to call it. The old panel broke, and whenever I was pulling it apart, so this plastic was just really flimsy. So I took some JB Weld Plasti Weld and put that on here. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of it. It's not working out all that great. So I would probably just use some sort of other epoxy or something, because this just crumbles when I attempt to screw into it. So I've been told it's not necessary, but you know, I'm gonna try and use it until I can't. So basically it's gonna go on like that. So before I get to that point, I'm gonna put in all the clips I need. Then I'll screw that in. So here we go. Now here's where wrapping that fabric around is probably gonna bite me in the ass, because there's a little peg that needs to go through, and every single one of these things needs to go through. So all right, guys, that's it. We got our door card in. We got our other door card in. We've got this just way too big strap, but you know, I'll work on it. It came together pretty well. Parts list wasn't all that much. I mean, it's less than, you know, metal with the sticker and everything. It's just a different style of card. I'm not too sure yet if I'm going to run a grill or not. I'll probably run a grill, and I probably need to adjust some of the spacing there so that we get the speaker a little bit more back room. But overall, I think it came out pretty well. What do you guys think? Leave a comment or a like. And I'll see you guys next time with the next project.